All right, and welcome everyone to the Ginette Biro podcast. I'm Ginette Biro, and thank you as always for joining me on the show. I'm so grateful that you guys tune in just to see what's going on and what the updates are and whatever it might be. And I'm talking really fast because I'm excited about this beautiful guest, Daphne McDonagh, who's on the show today. I've had you on the podcast before, but this is just such a timely conversation with you today. Not only because you have your book coming out, well, it is out, but you have your book launch coming. You Do You is her book. Let's hold that up there, Miss Daphne. Amazing, amazing. It's a beautiful story of her journey. But that is sort of what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the change that we are in right now, the change that's happening on the planet, how it's really asking each and every one of us to step up in some form. But a big change and transformation and awakening, whatever you want to call it, does not always have to come from a near-death experience, from a coma like you had, from a massive closed head brain injury like you had as well, right? Like, we can embrace this now. So that is probably one of the longest intros I've ever done. But Daphne, welcome to the show.
You know what? That totally rolled off your tongue, my beautiful friend. It totally did. And
It's not bad, eh?
I'm going to apologize right off the get-go too, because I'm probably going to talk way too fast too. But that's okay.
That's okay.
If I could please reference, I was blessed to help your dog a while ago with some distance sessions that, your dog was needing because they weren't well. And then I was blessed to receive a reading from you. And in the reading from you, I was blessed to be reminded that my God, and I'm still baffled by how I have met and exceeded all the expectations that my guides had wanted me to do when I came back here from experiencing what I've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, for people that like, it's just, I've been blessed to be on the other side for 18 days. I've been blessed to experience many things. I don't recommend anybody try what I did or do what I do just to experience what I experienced. But when you and I were talking, Ginette, you had commented how it's the because I asked you, because I function, I guess, differently than most people.
Mm-hmm.
And because of what I've been through and what I've come back from and the journey that I've walked in my life, I'm blessed to have experienced so many things. And so I can't remember exactly what you said it was, but it was like the joining of the two worlds from here to here. And the embodiment, embody, and how right now what's going on in our planet is that's what's happening for everybody right now. Mm-hmm. And we all just need to step up and get on board. Mm-hmm. I mean, get on the ship. The ship is going from this place to this place. Like, I mean, a friend of mine, Tad Hargrave, who's a marketing therapies guy, that's what he talks about, having a ship from this island to this island. That's what's happening right now.
And so you're talking about that like 3D to 5D consciousness, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that step up in awareness that, everybody is sort of in a way being asked to go through, to, think higher, think deeper, think more with compassion, think more with, getting to know thyself so that you can then better help and better ripple out to others.
That's exactly what I was saying. You just said it better.
No. And I think that's so true, because we are being asked now to embody. And let's go back to that thought too, because it was interesting how that came through in your reading, that the beginning of this pandemic, 2020, really was about, cracking some foundations. And then 2021 has been about like digging and laying your foundations, right? But 2022 is stepping into this energy of embodying now who you are. Like, embody the temple that you are. And I'm reminded now too, because I don't always remember content of readings, but they're reminding me now that the idea of, in quotations, building temples on earth to help other people is not building actual temples. It's about embodying the truth of who we are. Our body ourself is the temple. And I use temple as a reference point, right? The body is this vehicle for consciousness. And when we really embody that consciousness in the vehicle, then we ripple out these energies that can help others in every which way.
Well, and I mean, that's what my book is about. That's why, I mean, I never thought that I would be an international best-selling author,
Mhm.
right? But somebody asked me to share my story years ago, and then they asked me to share a little bit more. And then, I mean, I've had people tell me, you need to write a book. And I wasn't ready to write a book. But when I sat down and I said, okay, I mean, it was after, one of your readings, it's time to get out of the bathtub, Daphne.
Mhm. And for those of you that are wondering about the bathtub, there was a visual of her. She spent time in this metaphorical bathtub being um, bathed in rainbow light consciousness when she was in her coma on the other side. So when I said it's time to get out of the bathtub, it was about like bringing that knowledge back here now.
Yes.
Yes.
That's okay. So, and I talk about that in my book, and I talk about how, I mean, I asked Spirit, how am I to do this? How what's the best way that I can do this? And so, I mean, you've been blessed to read the book already, and you wrote a beautiful review for it. But I mean, each chapter is about a different stage in my life, my journey, and different experiences I've had and different lessons I've learned. And then at the end of each chapter, I ask a question
Mm-hmm.
so that the people reading the book can tap back into themselves, because it's not about me. This
Mm-hmm.
book isn't about me. This book is about everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And when people can live their authentic lives and be themselves, doing what inspires them and brings them joy, I truly, truly, truly believe that the world needs, or the world is stepping into a higher consciousness of, from competition to collaboration, of coming together.
That's beautiful. I love that. From competition to collaboration. That's it. And that's truly where we need to go. These opposing polarities that we're seeing everywhere need to work together. There has to be an ability to work together because it is not one versus the other. There's value in both.
Right.
Right?
And everybody has amazing capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Your abilities are different than my abilities, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But when we can come together to share our awesomeness together we rise.
Yeah.
Period.
Absolutely.
And
Fantastic.
I see your thoughts going right
I
now.
know, right?
But it's about, yeah, for me and my journey. I am so grateful for the amazing people that I have in my life,
Mm-hmm.
for the amazing experiences that I've had in my life. And I've been blessed to live many, many lives.
Mm-hmm.
I've been blessed to be, in Atlantis. I've been blessed to walk the floors of Egypt. I've been blessed, I've been blessed to be, in many different lifetimes. I mean, whether people believe that or not, I mean, chances are if they're watching this, they do. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have been blessed to be a part of many things. And I'm going to cry when I say this, but I'm truly excited to be a part of this transformation that's happening right now.
That's really inspiring. And you know what? That's actually really beautiful to hear because there's a lot of people being weighed down by this experience. And I find that you have this really interesting way of sustaining this higher perspective, higher frequency. Whereas a lot of people, and I get caught up in this too, where sometimes it's just like a heavy day or heavy energy day, heavy info day. And it's like, oh my gosh. But that's a good key piece for people to remember is like, we all have chosen to be here at this time to be witness, to be a change maker, to be a voice, to be someone who holds the light, to be many different roles in this change that we're going through. And we are right now, right in the thick of it, right? We are like almost officially 2 years in, 2 cycles in of this even 4-year change, right? Which Spirit said would be like 100 years and 4 years.
We're halfway through.
Yeah, halfway through. And in many ways, it's like, oh my God, we're only halfway through. I don't know if I can do this. But at the same time, we are halfway through. That's better than 1 month in.
Right? I'm like, we've only got 2 years left. Like, come on, let's go.
Yeah. And these really are great opportunities for change right now, just depending on how we want to see it and how we know our role and how we, like we were saying, how we embody that. And so I think one of the ways that if people are wondering, like, how do you embody? Like, what do you mean embody? It's like, what do you feel your role is on this planet? And if you really feel into it, some people might feel like they are someone that needs to be a voice for change. Others might feel like they are a voice for a change in policies and how things are done. Others might be light holders where they just hold the light and positivity, and they're like, if people need to recharge, you recharge right here, right here. Here's a recharging station, right?
I think that's me. Yeah.
I think that's you, yes. And then others are caregivers or those that can offer compassion, or like there's so many different roles, but it's like, what are you feeling drawn to? When you think of your action step with how the world is right now, coming from a place of purpose and peace, not anger and retaliation though, right? Because some people are going to be like, I want to do this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but is that bringing you the peace? Like, does that action bring you peace? That's what you have to ask yourself to determine what your role is.
Yeah. So, and I really feel that when we can ask ourselves that and be the beings that we were born to be,
Yeah.
the world is shifting. I mean, the world has been shifting for the last 2 years. You and I both know that, right? The world is shifting, the world is changing, the world is growing. And I truly, truly, truly believe that it's shifting for the better.
Yeah.
And that's the
why we're all
vibration.
here.
Pardon me?
Right? That's why we're all here. All of us, everyone listening and stuff, right?
Yeah, well,
Shifting for the better.
right? Because if we truly get what we think, well, what are you going to think about? I am choosing to think about a world of peace, a world of love, a world of compassion, a world of sharing, a world of coming togetherness. Because really, what happens when tragedy happens? People come together. We've had this discussion before. Yeah. What happens when tragedy happens? People come together. What happened when I was in my car accident 29 years ago? People came together. What happened when the floods in BC? People came together. Totally. And this is where I say, why does there have to be tragedy for people to come together? Let's just, I'm going to bite my tongue, but let's just come together.
Yeah. Yeah. And these are opportunities for us to see that and really choose that. And you speak of BC, and I just want to say this one thing is there was an issue with the pump. There was a pump system that was going down. And the night that information came out, there was over 300 people that showed up to help do whatever. They're like, anything you need, to the point where they actually had to turn people away because they were blocking the roads and blocking the movement. And I thought, isn't that a beautiful example of what humanity can be? Over 300 people. And they managed to sandbag it to all the things needed, which has helped. Like, that's got it. For those that are really feeling like there's darkness in this world, it's like, look at what that brought. 300 people got out at nighttime, drove there to say, how can I help?
Well, and that's, I mean, it's not necessarily a revolution, but an evolution. And how can I help? I like to say, how can I support? That's what I like to say now is, how can I support? If somebody comes to me and says, I'm dealing with this and this and this, I say, how can I support? Yeah. How can I support you through this? What can I do to support you? Yeah. And I'm not saying that people aren't doing that. I'm just saying, can you imagine a world, Ginette, if everybody did that? Like, really? There's no words.
Speechless.
Right? Like there's no words. Yeah.
It's pretty powerful.
So how do we start that evolution? That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, that's true. I think I like to believe that evolution has started. And maybe in some cases it has started really small, and maybe there's other areas where it's actually bigger than we realize, but I like to think that it has started. Yeah, because for everything, the amount of, and if I even just look at like clients, right? The amount of clients coming through with messages of how they are stepping up, how they are moving forward, the support that I've seen from the other side and informing them on how to step up, move forward and all that. If I take all of that into account, it has to already be starting.
Right.
And that's from almost like a data analysis approach to the last little while. Because I know in my heart, I can feel that higher perspective like you're saying too. And I really believe we are meant to be moving forward, and we are for the highest good, and we will succeed. I do.
Yeah.
But if I even take this data approach, from what I've seen, it supports it, which I think is positive.
Right. Okay. So I guess the question then is, how can we, what can each of us do as an individual? Because I agree with you on all accounts for that. But what can each of us do that are watching this or listening to this or however they're taking this in? What can each of us do as an individual to help raise that even higher?
Know thyself.
Right?
Yeah. Get to know yourself. I think for people, first of all, who don't really know who they are yet, you have to start there. And I'm being shown the scene, and I was shown this on the weekend. For those of you that watched Runaway Bride with Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, okay, there is a scene in there where Julia Roberts has been with all these different people, different partners in her life, and she would always just end up becoming like them. She would become like them, thus run away at the altar every time. Finally, when she's like, I need to know who I am, she realized that when she was eating eggs, she used eggs, she would always eat the eggs her partners liked. And that's just what she assumed she liked, but she never actually tried them for herself. What did she like? So in this one scene, she sits there, she makes herself poached eggs, scrambled eggs, fried eggs, you name it, and an omelet. And she tries them all for herself and realizes she likes whatever it was. I can't remember. But it's like taking the opportunities that are coming to you to know who you are in it. Who are you? Because then when you know who you are, from that standpoint, you can see how you can help others, how you need to help yourself, what you need to do to move forward. Like, you need to have a 0 point.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I mean, I think that's part of the reason this evolution began, because we all want to change. We all want to change. And so for the last 2 years, we've had to go within. We can't be out for us to figure out what we need to do for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it has to start there. And then once it starts there, I think at that point, once we start to have that reference point, then we can start to feel where we are drawn to make a difference. And I think the difference is really, like we're saying though, can come in so many different ways. Like, for example, my husband, Trevor, is like, you know, I want to do something more. And I've been talking about doing these gardening things for schools. Like, how can I bring in gardens to teach kids about gardens? And like, just a random thing. That's a thing.
It
that
is a
adds
thing.
to higher consciousness, right? Like, it can be from that to many other things. So it's like, kind of get creative, I think, with what people are drawn to, like what you feel drawn to. Anyways, that's my opinion. What's yours, Daphne? What's yours?
Well, I mean, that's my opinion too. I mean, title of the book.
You do you.
I had the title before I had the book written.
Yeah.
I had like the title and the last line of the book.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just need the middle stuff now.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Yeah. And like the book talks about, and this is what I tell people is, try something. And if you don't like it, try something else. And if you don't like that, well, guess what? There's other things to do. So try something.
You know, and speaking of that, some people need some healing in different forms, right? To get them on their way. And so let's talk about some of the healings that you do. Daphne, I mean, you are on Avalon Spirit. You do you do animal healings and offerings and also for people. But you also have Daphne's Healing Hands.
Right.
.com.
Yeah, daphneshealinghands.com.
So
I create, pardon me?
Let's talk about some of the things you do.
Well, I create custom pieces of crystal healing jewelry, as you can see, custom pieces of crystal healing jewelry for people and animals, because crystals are amazing. I mean, you and I both know how amazing crystals are, and how, I mean, for me, after coming back from my head injury, 29 years ago, I was in pain, both physically and emotionally. And I mean, I talk about that in my book, but I don't talk too much about it, because it's not about the trauma of that. It's about what I chose to do after. And so I tried things, the crystal therapy, the magnets. I was blessed to find a quantum wave cold laser light therapy tool. I was blessed to get sacred geometry tools. I'm blessed to have them all work together for myself so I can live without pain, both emotional and physical. And that's how I can stay so vibrating so high. But what I can do too is I help people and animals in person and or distantly. I've figured out how to connect, I guess, intergalactically, or however you want to say it. You're chuckling. But I mean, I am blessed to be able to help people and animals worldwide by sharing distant healing energies.
And it really does work. It's really beneficial. I mean, I've talked about it before, but you've helped me break fevers. You helped my puppy when she, ingested something poisonous. And this is the thing too that Spirit's been talking about. We're going to be learning a lot more in our scientific world, in our 3D world, about the power of light and laser therapy. There's going to be more and more coming in. We are starting to see, obviously, some laser therapies for skin, for whatever. But we're going to start learning more of how it works on that quantum level, also on the physical level, on the emotional side. And all of these things, that we're going to be seeing more of that. Ways of healing that are much less invasive than, cutting and cutting out and all that kind of stuff. So there's lots coming down the pipe. Spirit keeps saying about that. They're like, just stay tuned. But you're already a little bit ahead of that, already offering these things, which is, I mean, when that all comes in, you're going to be like, right? Yeah.
I've been working with these lasers for the last decade, so I have seen amazing, amazing things. Amazing things. I mean, there's red light, which if I can talk about it for a minute.
Absolutely.
The red light does surface. The infrared light does bones, teeth, tendons, muscles, cartilage, and joints. And then the violet light does the deeper emotional and auric field. So I have figured out how to, I guess, not harness. I was gonna say harness, but harness isn't the right word. Maybe your guides are giving you some better words to explain it. But I have figured out how to use crystal therapy, cold laser therapy, and sacred geometry tools to treat people worldwide.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. So, I mean, I'm really grateful that you have those offerings, but I do want to encourage people that if you're looking for a healing modality that is a little bit outside the box, this is a great method because it goes alongside anything else that people are doing. Or, I mean, we always have to say as a caveat, like if there's medical things going on, check with your doctor. It's always great.
Yep.
But it's a beautiful offering. So I definitely want to encourage people to check out your offerings on Daphne's Healings. Oh my God, I'm having a hard time talking too fast. Daphne'sHealingHands.com, as well as Avalon Spirit as a journey guide. So any other kind of closing thoughts you want to leave people with, Daphne? I mean, I know we could make this podcast last hours easily, but for the sake of being thoughtful,
we could.
Any last minute thoughts?
Any last minute thoughts? See, you didn't give me anything to go off before we started this. You said, just come, show up, we'll do this. I'm like, okay. No idea what we're going to talk about. Be you. Be your authentic self. If something brings you joy, do it. If you're inspired to do something, start. If you don't know how, ask questions. Talk to your friends. I mean, something recently, my son just went through his clothes and put a whole bunch in a bag so I can donate to a family. You know what I mean? Like, we all have more than enough stuff. There's an abundance of everything on this planet. So if we can share with others things that we don't need right now, that somebody else does, do it.
Absolutely. That's beautiful, Daphne. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I truly appreciate you big time. And I know you are rooting for the planet just as much as I am, right? We are here to...
Go team.
Yeah, go team. Go team Planet Earth. We got this. We got this.
We're good. Let's go.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you so much, Daphne. I truly appreciate you and love you to bits. And for everybody watching, thank you so much, you guys, for joining. We hope you have a beautiful rest of your week.
Magical week.
Magical week. All right, see you later.